Hi friends, new and old, and welcome back. We are hanging out in the graveyard once again because we are going to do some My Little Pony pumpkin carving. And we also found our My Little Pony Pinkie Pie pumpkin decorating cat from Target. We're going to make this bizarre Pinkie Pie. I can't wait. I think she's so weird. Of course, the legs are upside down in this picture, which I think is really odd. If you are looking for her, there is the barcode. I found it at my local Target. It was $10. And I was quite surprised at how large she is. I didn't expect her to be that big. And we've got a couple of craft pumpkins here. And Pinkie's getting drunk already. So we are going to do Pinkie Pie in the little white one. We've got to paint the pumpkin pink. And the other two large craft pumpkins, we are going to cut out a design. I have used a Cricut to make the stencil, so we can put that onto the pumpkin and cut it out. So we're going to do a G2 My Little Pony pumpkin. And I've got a G5 My Little Pony pumpkin that we're going to do. And this one is part of the G5 pumpkin carving line. There is one for Sunny, Hitch, Pip, Zip, and Izzy, and I chose to make a Sunny pumpkin this year. So we'll be carving some My Little Pony pumpkins and decorating some My Little Pony pumpkins for Halloween this year. And the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to paint this pumpkin so that it can dry. So let's get Pinkie Pie and all the goodies out of this package and get set up to paint our pumpkin pink. All right, we've got everything out of the package. Here is the Pinkie Pie head. I love it. Made by Gemmy Industry Corp. In Donggun, China. Very cool. So there's Pinkie's head. We've got her feet. And they're like, these are kind of rubbery. Almost like they're made out of a My Little Pony. You can see that we can kind of squish those feet. So we got those, and we got the head, and then here is our pink paint that they provide us to use to paint our pumpkin with. And this is the brush that they give you to paint the pumpkin with. So let's see how that goes. And I mean, this is a very small amount of paint, so I chose the small pumpkin as well as I thought the small pumpkin might look the best when we make it into a Pinkie Pie. So let's give it a try and let's paint a pumpkin. Shake it up. Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. Shake your paint. So when you take the cap off of the paint, you'll see that it's kind of like other things that you can get, and you got to cut the tip of it so that the stuff will come out. Kind of reminds me of like a caulking tube. Let's try swizzling some paint. Ooh! It does. It comes right out. Doot, doot, doot. Just like that. Alright, so when we're done with it for a moment, we're putting the top back on it. With the little cap thing. This thing. And it does not. It doesn't go on there very well. Maybe it's because I cut the thing down too far and it's too big to fit in the little like cap hole. So we're gonna set this aside while we paint that on. We're painting our pumpkin pink. We're painting our pumpkin pink. Because. It's Pinkie Pie's favorite color. It doesn't give you a lot of good coverage. It's kind of meh. Well, let's see if maybe it just needs multiple coats. You know, maybe it's just this kind of pumpkin. Hey! I found the top part that we cut off, and I said I'd never find it. All right. Do you guys make pumpkins or jack-o'-lanterns every Halloween? Is it something that you guys like to do? I always like to carve a pumpkin. I think that that's pretty fun. I don't always make a real pumpkin. It really depends. Where I am, I wouldn't make a real pumpkin because it's warm a lot of the time, and I feel like the pumpkin would rot really, really quickly. And I also just don't know if my neighbors would leave the pumpkin alone. So that always worries me. Like, I don't want any trouble. I don't want anybody being mean to the pumpkin. So I worry that I would make a pumpkin and then it would die. This, like, sponging it on seems to be helpful. Here we go. But I enjoy making a jack-o'-lantern every year, and I have really enjoyed making the craft pumpkins, because there's something where you can make a jack-o'-lantern and put a little fake light in it, and it becomes a decoration you can put out every year. And if I had kids, I think I would do that, where we would create a little pumpkin, and maybe they were all like this size, or maybe every year it'd be a little different. I don't know. Really depends on size and storage, but I always thought it'd be really cool. How cool would it be to look back on your childhood and look at every Halloween that you created a pumpkin with your family? And I always thought that would be really cool as a parent. Every year we put out all the pumpkins that we've carved prior. And I mean, eventually you'd have quite a few pumpkins. I mean, just on the basics of 18 years old, you'd have 18 pumpkins. Well, I don't know. I mean, the little babies aren't going to be carving pumpkins, so I don't know if you'd necessarily have one the child did then, so I don't know. Be a lot of pumpkins anyways. Alright everyone, I'm going to finish painting this pumpkin pink, and we'll be back when it's dry and ready to put the Pinkie Pie pieces in. And this is what the pumpkin looks like after one coat of the pink paint. So it covers pretty good, but you can see it's going to need a couple coats in order to do that. And I'm just using the brush that was included. And I'm finding that when we're painting the pumpkin, if we're going like this with this brush, it doesn't give as much or as good of coverage if we're just dabbing it on. So this technique of just kind of dabbing it has worked better for me in terms of coverage than painting it like this. If that helps you or your kids when you are painting a pumpkin like this for Pinkie Pie, you're welcome. So I hope that helps you if you're struggling to get this paint to cover your pumpkin. Let's go ahead and put another coat on it and see if we can get it really pink.
Yay!
All right, our Pinkie Pie pumpkin is taking some time to dry after its second coat of pink paint. And while we're waiting for that, we're going to take our other giant craft pumpkin and we're going to start getting our design carved into this craft pumpkin. I got this craft pumpkin at Michael's. It was on sale for the Halloween season, so you can paint it, you can carve it. It has a hollow interior, and I love these for making little jack-o'-lanterns at Halloween time that we can keep forever and ever. So we have the pumpkin surface that we want to carve our picture into. And I have this little transfer sheet that has been cut out of vinyl on the Cricut. And all I have to do is peel this back and it will pull up this vinyl and then we'll place it on our pumpkin and we'll be able to carve out these shapes. All right, and then we'll just stick it on our pumpkin. All right, and there is our cutout stencil on our pumpkin, and all we have to do is cut it out now. All right, we've got our pumpkin all painted, and this took about 3 coats to do in order to get the coverage. And the sponge brush that they gave, it's the brush that I used for the whole thing, and I found that it was easier to dab the paint on than it was to paint the paint on in order to get the coverage that we have here. So if you are getting this for you or somebody else that you want to enjoy making this Pinkie Pie pumpkin, something to keep in mind is that it's going to take you a couple coats to cover your pumpkin. There's going to be that dry time in between. So it's not going to be a all in one day kind of thing unless you don't really care about covering all of the pumpkin. You do definitely get enough paint for a pumpkin that is this size. If it was a pumpkin this size, we might not have had enough paint to do multiple layers like that. But now we are on to the part where we get to put Pinkie Pie into the pumpkin. So we just want to see how they do it. And of course we know they got the legs upside down in this one. Alright, so this is going to be the front of our pumpkin, and on the back of the Pinkie Pie head, you've got this little spoke. This thing's going to poke it. And I'm not quite sure how well that's going to do with the foam pumpkin. And we're looking at putting her head like right about there. And pushing the dot into the pumpkin like that allows us to make a little spot right there. And then we're going to use our little X-Acto knife to make a little piercing in the pumpkin right there. And I have a chopstick that I think I'll be able to push into that a little bit easier. So I'm going to use the chopstick to push down into that hole. That way I'm not pushing the Pinkie Pie spoke down in there and risking breaking this off, because this is kind of flimsy. And then we should be able to shove Pinkie Pie right on the pumpkin. Now she doesn't sit flush like what they've got. They've got to have her propped up in the back in order for that to be. You might have to put her head down a little bit, but then it looks weird. I feel like her head needs to be up here because that's where her head would be. So we're going to need something to stop it from going in any further. Alright, we've been able to put a little bit of hot glue behind the head here. I thought we were recording while that was happening, but we weren't. So we are putting a little bit of hot glue on the end of our chopstick, like this, and we're going up and underneath this little spoke down in here and putting some glue on the underside of it so that it helps to support it. That should keep our Pinkie Pie head in place. Alright, let's go ahead and see if we can't put her arms on. And these are her arms. And they look pretty similar. Well, let's go ahead and make a hole, and we'll see which way the leg looks good. So we'll go ahead and make the first leg hole right here. Now we've poked our hole, we'll just take our little X-Acto knife and make that a little bit easier to get into. Use our chopstick to make the hole. Now let's see if putting the leg in this way. Seems like that's the way the leg is gonna go. And then we'll have this one over here. I feel like I got two of the same leg. I'm a little concerned for that. Did I get two of the same leg? I mean, technically. But we'll find out how it does. I mean, this leg seems to be the one that likes to go in here. So we'll go ahead and put that in. And I'm going to put a little, hold still, Pinkie. I'm going to put a little hot glue in that hole. Just enough around it and in it. And we'll see if doing that helps to secure that leg to Pinkie Pie. Pinkie Pumpkin. There we go. We got one leg in. Now, this leg has probably got to go here. So we'll put a little mark right there. And let's go ahead and get our X-Acto knife and make a little slit so we can get into that spot. And then I should be able to take my chopstick here and poke the hole. Ta-da! Okay, and now let's take a little bit of our glue and inject it into that hole as well as just a little bit around it. And in it goes. Okay. So it definitely has to go like that because it definitely wouldn't face the same way. So we're gonna hold it in this position for a minute while that glue takes effect. And there, we've got arms on our Pinkie Pie pumpkin. Woo! Happy Halloween! Alright, now we gotta do the legs. And our legs are gonna look better than their legs because we know what we're doing. Let's get down a little bit lower. And here's one leg, and they're going to go like this, not this. So this leg, I think I'll put it down here. So we've got our spot. Let's go ahead and put our X-Acto knife in there. Boop. Oh. Okay, makes a little incision, and then we can take our chopstick and shove it in there. Let's get our glue gun and boop, 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 fill it right up. Okay, and then put our Pinkie Pie leg on. And I feel like it needs to be a little bit tighter to the body of the pumpkin, but we'll see if we need to possibly put a little glue down in there and glue it to the body, right? Just enough for the glue in. Yeah, yeah. Boop. Alright. Alright, so we've got one leg on. Let's find the spot for the second leg. Alright. Alright, Pinkie, where's your second leg going? Over here somewhere. Probably right along in there. And there you have it. Witchy Pumpkin Pinkie Pie. Witchy Pumpkin Pinkie Pie. Isn't she amazing? I mean, how funny and weird is that for a Halloween pumpkin? I really love it though. I'm totally into it. And since Pinkie Pie is my favorite G4 character, it's the perfect Halloween pumpkin for me. She's had way too much candy on Nightmare Night. And I love it so much. So much. It's so weird that we just had to have it. And the next thing is a hot knife. So it is a heated up X-Acto knife that will help us carve through foam. And I don't normally have trouble cutting through these foam pumpkins. It's not really a struggle. But recently, using the knives on this pumpkin didn't work as well as the other pumpkins that I have. So I figured we might as well get a hot knife and really try to cut this out with one of those. So the hot knife is heating up. We're going to give it a few minutes and then we're going to give it a try. All right, let's try and carve this pumpkin. So let's bring it a little bit closer. Let's see if we can't do this. Okay. It's working pretty good. Okay. All right. We're going to continue to cut these out and we'll be back. All right, we've got it working. We've got a couple pieces cut out. We did cut a hole in the top so that we can stick our hand down in to put our tea light, get our tea light out, as well as use our hands inside the pumpkin to help push out these pieces, just like you would if it was a real pumpkin. And then they just pop right out. They're really not that thick, so it doesn't take much. And it's these smaller pieces that make me nervous. But we're slowly pulling those pieces out and we'll have a pumpkin in no time. All right, we got it all cut out and we've got ourselves a G2 My Little Pony pumpkin. I think it looks pretty snazzy. And I got a little tea light. And we'll go ahead and put our tea light down in the pumpkin. And we'll put our top back on the pumpkin. Rotate it around until we find the spot where it belongs. There we go. All right, we've got one more pumpkin to do, and that's going to be our G5 pumpkin, and that is for Sunny's Cutie Mark. And we're going to go ahead and get that put onto the pumpkin. This pumpkin's got marks on it. See these marks? I'm not really sure like what they are, but sometimes pumpkins have marks, right? The other side, I don't know. This side could look a little bit better. Look at the mark up here too. Had a rough life getting here. And with this, it is a cricket that made this stencil for me. And we just use the transfer paper and get it to pick up that stencil and pull it right off the paper. And then we're just going to stick it right to the pumpkin. We might run into some troubles because we're putting these on something that is round. And we can see that there might be some issues with that. So what we can do is you can see this will come right off of this transfer paper. When we start putting this piece down, we'll just let it go. Like that. Same thing with this one. Just getting up on there. There we go. And that's on. And we can see there was going to be a little bit of trouble with this one bottom leg of the star, so we'll pay attention to him in a minute. Okay. On off. And now we have our stencil right on our pumpkin. Alright, so push these stars in a little bit. There we go. And then this one, this little star leg, he had some issues. There we go. Now he seems like he's happy. Alright, so we've got everything pushed onto the pumpkin now. And we can go ahead and start cutting out our stencil. And we're using our hot knife. And it's just going to slide right into the pumpkin. And we're going to follow our stencil with our X-Acto knife. And it makes that cutting really, really easy. Really, really, really easy. like that. Yeah. Ta-da! And then this will pop right out. Ta-da! All right, I'm going to do that to all the other pieces so we can light up Sunny's cutie mark. All right, every pony, we do have Sunny's cutie mark cut out on this pumpkin, and it looks pretty snazzy. Let's go ahead and put a tea light in it and see what it looks like all lit up. All right, there's our two pumpkins glowing with their lights inside, and our really weird Pinkie Pie witchy pumpkin. And I quite love them all. I'm a huge fan of G2. I really liked it. I played with them a lot as a kid. So I had to have a G2 pumpkin, and I wanted to represent G5, and they had all these really cool cutie mark ones that you could do. So we chose Sunny. I chose Sunny because she had that episode about Halloween and how she was trying, well, Nightmare Night, and how she was trying to make it like as good as her dad had made it for her and all those fun traditions. And I lost my dad in 2020, and I really relate to Sunny's story of losing her dad and all of the things that she does that she wishes he was there to see and experience with her, and how proud of her he would be for all of the things that she's done and accomplished with her friends. And so this pumpkin is for Sunny, and this pumpkin is for Argyle. We're going to remember Argyle and honor him and Sunny with this wonderful pumpkin every October for Nightmare Night. Well, thanks so much for watching and hanging out and carving some pumpkins and decorating a pumpkin with me this Halloween. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below. Tell me what kind of pumpkins you carved this year, and if you picked up this weird Pinkie Pie. Hit the bell notification so you never miss another My Little Pony video with us. And if we aren't friends yet, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button and stick around. Until next time, happy Halloween, happy Nightmare Night, and goodbye.